Take a minute to think about why we generally gravitate towards societal norms. Why is that? Like, who says that's the best way in which to live your life? Think of it as when you're born onto this bus, and you're on this bus until you die. And as usual, this bus runs the course of which is life. And believe me, it's a roller coaster ride. And every once in a while, you'll get off this bus to try something new, experience something different. But eventually, you're going to get back onto that bus at some point. Now, what would life be like if you weren't on that bus all the time? It'd probably be very different and really interesting. And you see, that's the whole idea of thinking differently or being different. And here's the thing. These things don't have to be these great big things in your life. They don't have to take tons of time. Most of these things can be found right outside your doorstep on a daily basis. Thinking differently shouldn't be just a one-time occurrence or something that happens every so often. It should be a daily occurrence and something that just comes naturally to you. Now, being on that bus isn't exactly a bad thing, but it's the normal thing. And breaking away from those norms is a very important factor in thinking differently. So some ways in which you can start doing this is by trying new things, getting outside your comfort zone, approaching life through a different lens, approaching daily situations with a different outlook on things. And by doing this, we get to experience life outside of that bus. That's the area on the outside. That is where life is lived to the fullest. That's where we gain the most perspective about ourselves, others, and the world in which we live in. I think by implementing this way of thinking, we can enhance our lives in a very positive manner and get way more out of life itself. And personally, I would say that I've spent a great deal of my life being on that bus. But I think in the last 5 years, I've spent more time off that bus than in the previous 18 years combined. However, there's still a portion of me that's on that bus, and I find myself wanting to get off of it more and more as I progress in life. And hopefully in the next few years, I can achieve that. A perfect example of this whole idea of thinking differently in my life would be my decision to row in high school. You see, rowing isn't exactly a mainstream, normal sport. And I remember vividly the choice I made on the first day of rowing practice. It was to either walk home to my daily comforts or walk to the carpool to the boathouse and face the unknown. And 8 years later, I don't even want to know where I would be had I walked home that day. The sport wound up changing my life in so many different ways that I can't even begin to explain. So playing off of that, my advice for starting to implement this way of thinking would be to avidly search for those types of opportunities in life, or if there's something that you've always wanted to do or a risk that presents itself, get off that bus and go do it and face it head on. And by doing this, you'll really start to experience what it's like to think differently and how, by doing so, it impacts you as a person and winds up changing your life in a positive way. So I challenge you, in the next week or so, try to switch your lens in which you see things through and focus on thinking about specific things in your life in a different way. Think about some things that you've always wanted to do or you think would make your life more interesting. And then focus on taking the necessary steps in order to make those things happen. Because you only live once, and who wants to live a normal life? That is boring.